top 5 albums of 2021. We've arrived at my final retrospective day of counting down. What were some of my favorite albums of 2021? Find out here. I'm Luke, and this is Stage 76. This was an extremely difficult top 5 for me to pick. In 2019, it was because I wasn't a big fan of anything, but in 2021, it was because I was a big fan of everything. This was the year packed from front to back with awesome new albums. No more messing around on this one. Let's hop right into these albums. Number 5, Manic by Wage War. The style of music that Wage War managed to achieve on this one is Linkin Parkitect's core. A lot of people say that is a style that has been done to death and we need to hear something different. I'm here to tell you, throw that thought out the window and give this album a listen. Yes, the Architects riffs with the Linkin Park's choruses style is a bit overdone at this point, but when it's done well, it still sounds awesome. Manic is a perfect example of this. This album manages to evoke that style without feeling like you've listened to it 100 times already. It even far deviates from that type of style throughout a lot of the album. Tracks like Circle the Drain and Relapse keep that more standard modern metalcore sound, while tracks like High Horse, Manic, and the highlight of the album, Death Roll, take that sound and either amplify it or dial it back to achieve a more unique type of sound. Don't write off Wage War as just another modern metalcore band. They really showed everyone what they could do with Manic. Number 4, Costalom, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, by Slaughter to Prevail. This band really exploded onto the scene after the viral success of their song Demolisher in 2020, which was later included on this album. It's difficult to really show everyone what you're made of after having a song blow up like that. But Slaughter to Prevail proves that they're more than just Demolisher with this album. Quite honestly, I wasn't really even into any style of deathcore until this album came out. Costalom really helped me, and I'm sure many others, develop the ear for this type of music. The whole album is filled with heavy, crushing riffs, brutal breakdowns, and Alex Terrible's insane vocal abilities. Baba Yaga is the song that really sold me on Slaughter to Prevail, and is the definite high point on the album. There are so many more awesome tracks though. Bonebreaker, Maiden Russia, Bratva, Zavaliabalo, and Agony are all these super chunky breakdown heavy songs that quite simply just go hard. Then you've got a track like You're Only that almost goes in a more Slipknot Iowa type direction. Yes, I'm incapable of shutting up about Slipknot in the time that I got my ass kicked at a spite show. Stop judging me. Anyway, if you need some super groovy deathcore in your life, Costalom is what you need. Number 3, Trivium's In the Court of the Dragon. 2 years in a row, Trivium manages to take the number 3 spot. After the fantastic What the Dead Men Say in 2020, I was not expecting the just over a year turnaround to this album and it to turn out as great as it did. For most bands, it takes a lot more time to put together quality music. Trivium showed us that they don't really need that much time. Granted, it helps when you have a global pandemic going on and not much else to do, but I digress. If you're an old school Shogun era Trivium fan, In the Court of the Dragon scratches a similar itch. Most of the tracks are pretty long, similar to Shogun. The guitars and vocals also match that same style. It just has a kinda thrashy, kinda metalcore sound that we've all come to expect and love from Trivium. My absolute favorites from this album are the title track, From Dawn to Decadence, and The Phalanx. They're all awesome songs with just that right sound I'm wanting to hear from Trivium. Some people wanted to write them off after Vengeance Falls, but Trivium's last 3 albums have shown that they're not done yet. Sometimes it is better. Yeah! Number 2, Ice Nine Kills. Welcome to Horrorwood, The Silver Scream 2. After taking my number 1 spot in 2018, Ice Nine Kills comes back in 2021 with this absolute banger, just to fall short at the top of the list. Competition was tough in 2021. I struggled so hard to put an order to my top 3, and Welcome to Horrorwood managed to land at number 2. After the songs on Every Trick in the Book all being novel-based and The Silver Scream being horror film-based, I was really wondering how the band was going to follow all of that up. They followed it up with more horror film-based songs. There are so many great horror movies out there that Ice Nine Kills could keep this gimmick going for decades, and the quality probably wouldn't really falter at all. That's just a testament to Spencer Charnas and company being able to construct these super catchy metalcore tunes that are easy to jump into and understand. It was also really interesting to see more complex guitar work going into this album. The addition of Dan Sugarman to the studio lineup really helped nail that sound they were going for. It's hard to follow up something like The Silver Scream, but Ice Nine Kills managed to keep that perfect sound with The Silver Scream too. And finally, number 1, Spirit Box, Eternal Blue. First off, Holy Roller, top song of 2020 with zero competition. Not even Demolisher, and Demolisher is still awesome. Anyway, you ever hear the first few tracks released from an album, then just know the entire thing is going to be amazing? That's the feeling I had with Eternal Blue. When the band finally announced that this album was coming, we'd already had a chance to hear a substantial amount of music from it, and I think that really worked out in their favor. The inclusion of Holy Roller and Constance is a major upside to this album. There are so many more awesome songs than those, though. There's the big F You song with Hurt You, the instant metalcore classic that is Circle With Me, and the unexpectedly light but still epic Secret Garden. And Yellow Jacket has Sam Carter on the track. That automatically adds a few points in itself. When I got the notification that this album was coming to me a day early, you know I was flying all over the place. I was unwrapping that record and plopping that baby down on my turntable and jamming out. Thoroughly enjoyed every second of it, and I still enjoy every second of that album any other time I've listened to it. It only makes sense for Eternal Blue to take the top spot on my list. Okay, retrospective over. We're through all the old stuff, and tomorrow we jump into the new stuff. It's not going to be a top 5, but a top 10 albums. Then the next day, I'll be doing my top 10 tracks. Who do you think is going to be in my top 10 albums of 2022? I'll give you a hint. Hardly anyone I've mentioned in any other countdown. Leave a comment who you think might be in it. Like, subscribe, ding the bell, all that fun jazz. Thanks for watching. I'm Luke, and this is Stage 76.